Welcome everyone to SABC Online. It's so great to have you join us today. We're going to be spending some time looking into apologetics. This will help us explain and understand why we believe in God and how it applies to us. We have one song and then the message prepared for you guys today, so sit back and enjoy what we have in store for you.
주여 기대랑이 주여 기대배누아 주여 기대나고 하나 땅에다 가더라 주여 기대랑이 주여 기대배누아 주여 기대나고 하나 땅에다 가더라 There is but one love, and it is your love. Oh, Temerui, oh, Tearama. 주여 기대랑이 주여 기대배누아 주여 기대나고 하나 땅에다 가더라 There is but one love and it is your love. Oh, Temerui, oh, Tearama. There is but one love, and it is your love. Oh, Temerui, oh, Tearama. Your love has freed us. We're free indeed. Spoken to our pain, revealing hope again. Your love has freed us. We're free indeed. Spoken to our pain, revealing hope again. Your love has freed us. We're free indeed. Spoken to our pain, revealing hope again. Your love has freed us. We're free indeed. Spoken to our pain, revealing hope again. Your love has freed us. We're free indeed. Spoken to our pain, revealing hope again. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, and all that is within me. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, and all that is within me. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, and all that is within me. Ekororia, Ekororia, Kia Kwe, Ekororia, Ekororia.
Good morning. I was once asked, why do I need to become a Christian? I'm already a good person. And perhaps you've asked yourself that question before. Why do we need to become a Christian if we're already good people? You know, it's a great question to ask, because wrapped up in behind that question is so many thoughts that need to be answered. First of all, what is good? How do we know if we're good enough? What is this need we talk about for becoming a Christian? Is good relevant when we think about this need? And what does becoming a Christian actually mean anyway? Now, I want to explore some answers to these and similar questions over the next few video clips. I hope you will find them helpful. So let us consider this first question. What does being good actually mean? I have a saying that no one comes to work to deliberately fail. Everyone actually wants to succeed and do well in life. Most people don't wake up in the morning saying, today I think I'll be a failure. If someone does do that, we would think this person has a problem. We'd get around them and try and provide them with support and help, wouldn't we? Similarly, I don't think anyone wakes up deliberately wanting to be a bad person. We might want to do the odd bad thing, but generally most of us actually want to be good. Most of us will try and do the best for our family. We will try and help someone in need. We won't say any really bad lies and don't think we steal anything, at least not much. And as long as we try and get along with everyone else, we will think, actually, I'm a pretty good person. Yet are these the things that actually determine if we're good or not? Are the good things we do enough to actually cancel out the bad things that we have done? And who sets the standard for good anyway? And what about justice for those who get hurt when we do something bad? If I say something is good, does it make it good? What if you disagree with me? Is it still good then? If 10 people say something is good and 5 people say it isn't, does the majority rule? Or is it just what is popular at the time? It wasn't that long ago in society that people said sleeping together outside of marriage was bad. Today, society would argue that this is normal. It isn't bad. What determined that the standard should change? Or who determined that the standard should change? If it is just left up to people to choose the standard, then the standard will always be arbitrary. So how will we know if we are ever meeting the standard? How can we ever know if we are good enough? Fortunately, this is where a belief in God makes so much sense. God existing means we now have a higher authority which determines what is good and what isn't. It no longer relies on people setting the standard. When two teams meet for a game of rugby, you can imagine how bizarre the game would be if each team decided to make up its own rules. One team decides that a try is scored by touching the ball down when you cross the opposition's try line. The other team decides a try is scored by dotting the ball down anywhere on the field. The game just wouldn't work. Fortunately for rugby, there are a higher set of rules that determine how the game should be played. The rugby governing authority determines what the rules will be, and then there are referees to ensure that the rules are followed. These rules are set down outside of the game of play, so each player knows in advance what they can do and what they can't do. In the game of life, God sets the standard of right and wrong, good and bad, and gives us a conscience to referee the game. Having this higher authority seems to me to be the only logical explanation for there being good and bad. If God sets a standard for good, then what standard did he set? The downside of God setting this standard is that he has a completely different standard for measuring goodness to what we have. We measure goodness by the symptoms. Do people steal? Do they murder? Do they hate? These are symptoms of something deeper. And God measures goodness by what is in the heart and what is in our spirit. Let me give you an analogy to try and understand this. When I consider distance, I understand what a metre is. I can take a long stride and know that it is roughly a metre. And I get that. I get what the distance is. And I know what a kilometre is. I know what it represents. I used to run 1 kilometre time trials when I was a runner and was pleased every time I broke 3 minutes for the kilometre. I also have an understanding of what 400 kilometres roughly is. It's about the distance from Christchurch to Nelson, which I've driven many times, so I get what 400 kilometres is like. But when I think about the distance between Christchurch and Singapore, which is 8,400 kilometres, when I've flown that, I don't really think of that as distance. I start thinking of that as time. And if I think about the 384,000 kilometres from Earth to the Moon, I really don't get it. And then if we think about the stars, how far they are, and the distance is now measured in light years, I really don't have a concept of what that actually is. And I suspect you're the same. When it comes to measuring goodness, we measure goodness in meters. God measures goodness in light years. It is a completely different concept. It is a completely different scale. Because we only measure goodness in meters, we'll go around trying to put as many meters of goodness together as we can to try and reach our goal. A good deed here, try and hold our temper there. We fail to understand that we need to achieve, what we actually need to achieve isn't meters of goodness, it is light years of goodness. We are measuring our goodness by the wrong scale. Doing meters of goodness is what we achieve when we try to do good acts. Light years of goodness is what we achieve when we have a good heart and spirit. And friends, unfortunately, none of us has a heart that achieves light year status. You see, God doesn't measure goodness by the things that we do. God measures goodness by what we believe. And this is the shift that took place at the event Christians call the fall. Before the fall, Adam and Eve were in partnership with God, working in submission to his will and operating out of the freedom that he gave them. They were placed in a garden of perfection, and were tasked with spreading and shaping that garden and populating it until it spread through the whole earth, God, man, planet, and universe working in perfect harmony. However, this wasn't enough for Adam and Eve, and it hasn't been enough for us ever since, or for man ever since. At the fall, and since then, mankind wanted to be in charge of their own destiny, and no longer wanted to partner with God. We want to determine what is right and wrong, good and bad. We think we know better than God. And friends, this is a light year shift of goodness. This is why measuring our goodness in meters will never save us. Trying to do enough acts of goodness will never remedy the fundamental problem. The problem is that we want to be in charge, not God. Who is in charge of your and my life determines if we are good or not. Let me ask you, friends, who is in charge of your life? If you'd like to know more, you can contact me at encounterministries@sabc.org.nz. God bless.
Thanks so much for joining us today. And our prayer is that you have sensed God's presence with you, whether that be through the worship time, whether that be through the message or the personal story that got shared at the end, but that somehow your heart has resonated with it. And if you would like to let us know how you have been impacted, or you would just simply like to get to know us better, you can email us on office@sabc.org.nz, or you could go to our website www.sabc.org.nz, or find us on Instagram or Facebook and like our page or follow us, just to kind of keep in the loop of what we're up to here at SABC. Now, if you would like to find and join in a deeper way with us and would like to give to the ministry here at SABC, all the details of how you can follow through with that are going to be on the following slide. Once again, we've loved having you join with us. Haere rā whānau.